Well, happy Thursday, everybody. This is JoJo Bennington. This is the Empowering Healthy Women Thursday night. Get together. Just rolling back in from Mexico. I've been in Cancun for the week and just had an interesting week. So we dealt with a tropical storm and had a beautiful house that we rented and awesome people who took care of us every day. And it was interesting. So lots of lessons learned throughout the week. But first, I guess I'd better wish everybody happy summer solstice, because this is our longest, one of the two longest days of the year. Do you know that that was today? Cool, right? Also, depending on what culture you're in, it's also a day for great sex. So just throwing that out there. Lots of children are born exactly 9 months from the summer solstice. So just saying, there's lots of little interesting rituals around summer solstice, but that is one of them. So if you've been looking for a reason, there, now you have it. So I've been seeing, you know, we've been talking about it a lot, about, you know, your vibe attracts your tribe, and make sure that your tribe is vibing with you, and you know, all of those things, about making sure that you have people around you that are vibing at the same level. And I'm continue to think about this a little bit more. Hey, Phyllis, I'm going to unmute you so you can mute yourself on your side so you can chat with us if you want to hop in there. But I know that that's you on the phone. So you can mute yourself on your side if you like.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. So the thought of only having people around you that vibe at the same level. And obviously we don't want to like come down to somebody's level because they're vibing way down here and we're vibing way up here. We don't want to drop ourselves. But what if this person down here really needs to be up here, and they've been looking for that, but we don't ever, because immediately we feel off, so we separate ourselves. And I'm wondering how much we're starting to faction ourselves off. So I don't know if you guys saw that. What was the movie where they were all in factions? Anyway, there was 4 different factions, and you chose which one you were. And as soon as you chose which one you were, then you left everything else behind, all your friends, all your family, everybody that you grew up with, and you went with your faction. And like, I wonder how much that's just happening now because we're so separated. And the more things that go on, and the more things that we have differences about, and the more social media we see, like we didn't used to just know everything that went on in everybody's brain. And now we know everything. You know, every single thing that goes on in somebody's brain, what they think, what they feel. I mean, once upon a time, we didn't even know what somebody's like political party was. Like no one talked about that. You just voted and no one spoke about it. It was like that unwritten rule. Especially, I don't know when I was a kid, you never knew. You never knew. Now to have the conversations that we have, it's just so crazy to me that every single thing we know, that now in knowing all of these things, it makes me wonder how much we're separating from people that are different. And so I'm fading. Or is it my hair's been doing weird stuff? Is that better? No?
Now it's better.
Oh, that was weird. Okay, I just turned up my volume. I don't know what my volume would have to do with what you guys hear, but that was weird. Anyway, so what I was thinking was that the more we see people's differences and the more we separate from people who are different than us, the more we have more people that are vibing with us in our tribe, but the less diversity we have in our space. So how can we ever understand or learn tolerance, or how can we teach tolerance to our kids if all we say is go find the people that are like you? We're going backwards as far as bringing everyone together. I mean, it seems like that's what we've been doing for hundreds of years, is trying to bring everybody back together. And now we've come to a point where we hit that wall, and it's like everybody just broke into these little marbles that ran everywhere. And now all the green marbles are over there and all the blue marbles are over there, and nobody gets to play with each other in the sandbox anymore because it's just not the way it's done. And the more I see it happen, and so just as an example, we see through this filter of, I just want to hang out with people who are like me. So we go away, or we do things, or we go, let's say we're at a party, we tend to find people that are doing something that we like to do, or talking about things that we want to be involved in, or instead of going up to maybe a discussion that might be more uncomfortable and trying to learn more about why somebody thinks that way. And coming into an age, and I see it through all the spiritual leaders that I'm following, and the energy healers, and the people that are feeling into the vibration of the earth, are seeing it come into a very feminine time. We've been run by a very masculine energy for a long time. And we've run in that masculine energy, push, get it done. But that whole, schedule, strive, push, but that's all. There's not anything in there that's feminine. And that's where we've lived almost our whole lives. And so now that that's shifting, and we're starting to see this softer feminine energy of self-care and taking care of what's around us and understanding people more and having more empathy and compassion, the things that are separating us are starting to feel less and less like home to me. So it's interesting that in the space that I probably feel the safest, I know that everybody wants me to win, that everybody's on my side, that inside of this little tribe that we've created where we're all vibing on the same level, we're all very safe, we're all very taken care of, but we don't have a whole lot of challenge right here. So we don't get a whole lot of growth. We don't get a whole lot of opportunity to move into someone else's thought processes, even if we don't agree, to try and understand why they feel the way they feel, or to just love them for the fact that they're another human being on this earth. And whether or not we agree, I still want all the best for you. And, if it offends you, if somebody, on this side of the aisle calls somebody on this side of the aisle a bitch, then it's got to offend you on the opposite side when this person calls this person that. It's got to go both ways. You can't just say, well, because I believe this way, then everybody on that side of the aisle is a bitch. And be offended when it comes back to you. You have to see it both ways. And that has to offend you on both sides. And I fear that it's not. I fear that it's become this passive thing to just be okay with only agreeing with people that agree, that or only loving people that agree like I think. Only seeking those people out, only spending time with those people, only allowing those people in my space because no one else is worthy of that. Because they're vibing down here and I'm vibing up here and they're going to pull me down. Well, they can only pull me down if I let them. And so it's just my thought of, what if we leaned into somebody a little more who doesn't totally think like this and just say, tell me more about why you feel that way. and not have an opinion and not try and argue back and not try to make it a debate, but just to say, tell me more, just to love them where they're at and go, we can agree to disagree. And I hope that everything is amazing in your space, no matter how you think, and still, be able to break bread or have a beer or whatever with that person without it being weird or uncomfortable. So I don't know. That was just my thing, my thought of, we spend so much time hearing, find your tribe, find your tribe, find your tribe. And I would like to think that, and I'm not always good at it. I'm judgmental, and I have my moments when, I say the bad things or think the bad things, or I feel I'm not perfect. I'm human. And, but I want to be able to have the diversity in my tribe too. So I don't just have everybody around me that thinks one way. You think that we're getting that way? I'm just curious. Thoughts, feedback. What you guys think?
We have some friends that I don't agree with their political views, and sometimes they're a little more boisterous, I guess, about it than I would be or that my husband would be, but yet we can still have a good time with them. I just don't kind of play into that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I won't put them down for their views, but I also don't condone what they're saying either.
Mm-hmm.
But we can still go out and have a good time. We can still get together and have laughs. And, at the end of the day, we're still friends, even if we don't agree
Mm-hmm.
on things politically.
So is it just politically, or is there other stuff?
Primarily, it's politically. They have dogs, we have dogs. Mm-hmm. They like vehicles, we like vehicles. They camp, we camp. I mean, we do have a lot of common ground. I just don't care for their political views.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to respond either way, mm-hmm. positive or negative, when they have something political to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they know how I feel about it, because I just don't want to get into an argument over mm-hmm. it. I prefer to just, okay, let's just have a good time and not mm-hmm. talk about that.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that, of not wanting it in your space, of having that, whatever that throws you off, it doesn't make you feel good. Mm. But my thought is on the other side, and I don't even know if it's possible, because I'm just now stepping into this myself, of being able to say, well, tell me more about why you feel like that. Tell me more about why you think that way. Tell me more about, and then refraining from having a response, refraining from having the debate, refraining from having to make them think like I think, just understanding why they think that way. And to help connect in the diversity of the misunderstanding, or I won't say the misunderstanding, of the different views. I don't know. It's just a thought of, how do you become maybe more worldly if all we do is think a certain way, talk a certain way. We have no branch outside of that. Mm-hmm. How do we ever understand or learn why someone else sees or thinks that way if we don't take the time? I mean, like, sure. Religiously, like there's certain things but I don't cut people out of my space because they believe this way or that way. I've taken the time to go, why do you believe that?
I think that I would be more open to learning more about someone's religious background and their beliefs, rather than somebody's
political.
view. I mean,
Right.
I just don't like getting into politics. I have
Right.
my views, and I keep my views pretty much to myself.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to, you know, a religious background, then I'm be happy to learn more about that.
So certain topics.
Yes.
Because that doesn't bring you down as much as the political stuff. And
Right.
maybe it is not as heated. I don't know if it is or if it isn't. It's interesting. I don't know. Amanda or Phyllis, you want to weigh in on that? If you're out there. Is there anybody out there?
Yes, there is.
Hi.
Hi. Wow, that's, you know, I think when having differences with people is a good thing because, well, here's an example. My sister and brother-in-law, they've been married for 39 years, 39 years, and they have their little differences, but yet they're on the same page on a lot of things. And, you know, they have, you know, you were talking about political views and stuff. They have two different political views because we just had a vote here a little while ago. And I was looking at the book and my brother-in-law was helping me. I'm like, no, I think I know who I want to vote for. I think, you know, I'm pretty much set. But I did have a question on a couple of people and he helped me. But he let me make my own decision. He goes, well, I think I know who you're going to vote for. I'm like, yeah, whatever, you know, and we just joke about it. But that's because we're family. Now with somebody else, like I remember, you know, during the school year working, you know, and sometimes you get in the conversations with coworkers and stuff at lunch and we talk about different things. And sometimes we did talk about political stuff or even religion for that matter. And it was like, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, is there going to be an argument? Well, guess what? There wasn't. We were just talking, you know, about different things going on in the world, about what the president's doing, about what's going on here in Nevada, you know, whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that was a good conversation because sometimes somebody else says something that sheds light on it and you didn't see it. You know, you're not looking at it that way. So I think it's good to have differences, whether it be political, you know, or religion. Not that you get into those conversations a lot, but I think it's good to have differences. You know, even like married couples, like my sister and brother-in-law, they have their little differences on things, but you know, there's other aspects where they like similar things. They like going out and doing things together or whatever. So I think it adds spice to a relationship. You know, it doesn't keep it from getting boring, so to speak. You know, that's just, you know, my feeling on that. So
that's good. Agreed. Thank you for sharing. I wonder, you know, I see when people are, so I think this way and they think that way. I see what happens a lot of times is I have to be heard, but not just to the point of being heard, but being heard to the point that you have to now think that way I think because I'm telling you why I think this way. So I think this way, I think this way, I think this way. And you're never going to hear me because you think this way, you think this way. And all we're trying to do is convince each other who's more right instead of just saying, tell me more why you think that way. I'm always, you know what I mean? I'm always trying to get my right. I'm always
get your point across, so to speak.
Trying to get my right to be the righter right than you're right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. Yes, that's true. You know, that's true. And, you know, my dad, may he rest in peace, he was that way. Either it was his way, it was his way or that's it. You know, and as I got older and he was still alive, and I'm like, well, Dad, how come we can't do it this way? Or how come you're not doing it this way? And then all of a sudden he'd be like, oh, yeah, we could do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden a switch, you know, and my mom would be like, whoa, you know, because my dad, you know, being the full-blooded, stubborn Italian that he was, you know, he was, you know, had the blinders on sometimes. And my mom, she had to tell him, no, Phil, you can do it this way. Or why can't we have this way? Or whatever the situation was. She's the one that had to turn him.
Mm.
You know, and as when I got older and they were still alive, I'd be like, oh, okay, I get what you're doing, Mom. You know, because I was finding out how my dad was. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't want to be like that. I did not want to be like him. I mean, I loved my dad. Don't get me wrong. I loved my father. But there were times he was just so, this is the way it's going to be and that's it. Mm-hmm. You know, and this is what I'm going to say, or this is how you're going to do it, or whatever. And I'm like, my mother would be like, "What, Phil? What are you doing?" You know, or back off, or whatever. You know, and I told myself, I said, I'm not going to be like that. You know, and there were times over the past few years I caught myself, no, I don't. You know, I don't want to go there. I mean, yeah, I'm named after my dad, you know, but I'm like, don't want to be like him. There are certain things I am like him, but it's like, I want to be more open-minded. I want to be, you know, where you can address a situation in different ways. You know, so.
It's good. And the only way to do that really is to see the other side, right?
Exactly.
We're going to see what we look for. We're going to see isn't that crazy? We're always going to see what we look for.
Yep. That's true.
And I watch, you know, and we all love Vinny, but I watch him do the, you know, gotta shove my feeling down your throat thought conversation, because if I do that, then you're going to see that you've been wrong all this time, and you're going to wake up and the angels are going to sing and go, right now I know that I've been wrong, but I just go, you can't. The more that you do that, the more somebody's got to fight back to prove that they're right. And I'm like, you guys are you're doing the same thing on both sides. It doesn't matter what you believe in. You're still fighting for your opinion to be correct, instead of just trying to understand why someone else feels that way. And it's interesting because there's lots that's not so right in the world, but there's so much that is. And so what are we gonna see?
I mean, we all want to be heard, you know, and it's like sometimes my sister and I will get into conversations, you know, and I really make sure lately, because we've had some family stuff going on, I make sure that I am listening to her, not that she's just talking and I'm just there, and that I'm looking at her and I'm listening to what she's saying.
You know, most people listen with the intent to respond, not just to listen to what's being said.
Right. You know, and I'll be listening. It's like, okay, don't think about what you want to say. Just listen to what she has to say. And then, you know, go into what I want to say. And so, yeah. That's how it is sometimes. Some people will just say, I hear you. Well, you may have heard me, but did you really listen to what I said? I went through that with my brother just a few weeks ago. So, because there's so much going on in people's heads. It's like they're not listening. They may have heard you, but are they really listening to what you're saying?
Yeah. True. No, it's true. I agree. My Uber driver last night, I was totally going to prospect him for my team, and he wasn't listening. And so I didn't. And I told Vinny today why I didn't today. He was like, why didn't you? And I said, because he wasn't listening. Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, Amanda, are you out there? You want to weigh in our last couple minutes? Not sure if she can. She may be with kids. not sure. But no, good point. So I'm thinking that what a good exercise to do some homework, and just when you run across somebody who's talking about something that is not in alignment, or maybe at a different vibration or a completely different thought process than what you've had previously, that you just say, could you tell me more about why you feel that way? Or could you tell me more about why you think that way? I would just like to understand. And what a good homework assignment.
Definitely.
Just to see what happens. And it could be something small. It doesn't have to be the big hard stuff, but it could just be something small. It was one of the homework assignments that one of my mentors gave us was to ask someone else what it was like to be in a relationship with you when you need to be right. And then when they respond, that the only thing you're allowed to say is, tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more. So no matter what they say, all you can say is, tell me more. So to understand, to see yourself in a different light, to see how they see you, was an interesting thing. So I think to be on the side of saying to somebody, just tell me more about why you feel that way, could work for a lot of relationship connection. So not just with people that are random, but people that are really close to us. Just tell me more. Yeah, it feels a little uncomfortable, right? Kind of makes you squirm in your chair a little. Yeah. I will tell you. I'll tell you a secret. I've tried with Vinny several times to have that conversation with him, and every time I do it, he's just like, "Why are you trying to start a fight with me?"
Oh my gosh!
Like, I'm not. I just really would like to know. So he's like, "You're just looking for a fight." Like, no, I'm not. But so eventually we will have this conversation. But it'll have to be the right moment, apparently. So we love him. We're sending big love to Vinny today. So I think we're at time. Thank you for your input. And I would love to hear some feedback if you can give it a shot with somebody and post up on the page how your tell me more turned out, what you learned.
Should be interesting,
right?
Yeah, very.
Let's get to. I just think it's, maybe there should be a beer involved so you can like relax. A glass of wine, something to relax. Or a good piece of chocolate at the same time. So that's good. But happy Thursday. Happy summer solstice. See you next Thursday. I think we're going to do some chakra training next week, which is interesting. So we can understand how the chakras work in our body, what they actually do, and the energy that's there. So that would be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, because I don't know that. I'm like, I can't teach that, but I have somebody who can. So, yeah. But that would be cool to understand how our energy flows. So, since we're talking about vibration. Good. Cool. All right. Much love. See you next week.
Awesome.
Thanks. Bye.
Love to you too.